Yet again, I want to make this clear. That answer that he said is him referring to if he's going to stay at Georgia or not. This is where things start to really, and I mean really, get interesting. Well, ain't this interesting? Ladies and gentlemen, I got a question for y'all. What has been the biggest knock on Kirby Smart since he's arrived in Athens, Georgia? Quarterback development. I don't know why I said I have a question for y'all if I straight up answered it, but you get the point. The quarterback development at Georgia has been odd, strange, and weird to say the least over the past couple of years. At one point in time, you had Justin Fields. It didn't work out. After that, you had another 5-star in JT Daniels. It didn't work out, and here we are. Next thing you know, for Kirby Smart, you got a walk-on quarterback who's about 5'10", winning you back-to-back national championships. You can't make this stuff up. But however, heading into the offseason, Stetson Bennett, he's left. He's departed. He's gone to the NFL draft. It's time for a new face. Let me repeat this, only 3 weeks ago, there was 3 quarterbacks fighting for that starting spot. Carson Beck, Brock Vandergriff, and Gunnar Stockton. And really, to narrow this down even more, in my humble opinion, it was a 2-man race. Brock Vandergriff and Carson Beck. Carson Beck was the backup last year who did play a little bit, but on the flip side, Brock Vandergriff, he was a 5-star recruit. Brock Vandergriff has been hyped up his entire life. He's amazing. And from all the reports I've heard in scrimmages, Brock Vandergriff has been over-exceeding expectations. But then a couple of days ago on Saturday, the spring game happened, and it changed everything. The 5-star quarterback for Georgia, who may I remind you, is currently fighting for the starting spot, has came out and said he is uncertain and he's not sure if he's even going to stay at Georgia. Man, oh man, what a turn of events this is, and I'll tell you straight up, I didn't see this coming. Whoa, hold on. I know what some of my Georgia fans are sitting there saying, who cares, this doesn't matter. It's not the biggest deal in the world, and I beg to differ. We're going to talk all about that in tonight's video, and also, we're going to talk about the new NFL Draft quarterback rankings that have came out. The NFL Draft is right around the corner, and the main reason I'm talking about this list is because I don't agree with it, and it doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Maybe it makes sense to some of you guys, but I'll give you a sneak peek. CJ Stroud isn't even in the top 3. Yeah, that's crazy if you gotta ask me. It's gonna be a jam-packed video. You already know if you like college football content videos like this, consider joining. It's 100% free. You can always unsubscribe later. All right, Matt, blah, blah, blah. Shut the crap up. Now, without further ado, say it with me now. Let's get into it. Oh yeah, first things first. We talked about this earlier. I'm not gonna dive into it too much because we literally just talked about it. But I overlooked this. In the new college football rankings, according to ESPN, they got Oklahoma at number 11. I skimmed past it. I said I didn't agree with it. But maybe I should have spoke about that more, because when I look at it even more, Oklahoma, do they even deserve to be in the top 20 or 25? I mean, this team was not that good last year. Let me know your thoughts on that down below. We'll talk about that tomorrow. I want to see your comments. Do you think Oklahoma, even though they're talented, deserves to be ranked number 11th? And not just 11th, but even in the top 20. I don't know, man. Me, myself, I'd probably stick them around 24, 25. I know we got a lot of Oklahoma fans out there. Shout out to Sooner Nation, one of my favorite fan bases in the country. Let me know your thoughts. Moving along here to what was supposed to be our original first topic, but it's our second topic in this video. Let's take a look at these top 10 quarterbacks. We'll start at the bottom and work our way up. 10 through 8, nobody really cares. But at number 7, we got Hendon Hooker. And check this out. Stetson Bennett is above Hendon Hooker. Wow. Wow, that's the only thing I know to say. I got a question. Who made this list? I assume it's a bunch of people came together and made it. How do you come to the conclusion that Stetson Bennett is better than Hendon Hooker? I mean, I'm sorry, but what are we doing, man? Whatever, let's get a move on. I don't want to explode about that. At number 5, we got Clayton Tune. Who is Clayton Tune? Never heard of this guy. I don't know anything about this guy. Never heard of him up until right now. But I can assure you, I probably don't think he's better than Hendon Hooker, even if I went and watched film. Above Clayton Tune, the guy I've never heard of, at 4, we got CJ Stroud. I'll speak on that in a second. 3, we got Anthony Richardson, which he's got a lot of potential. At 2, we got Will Levis. And number 1, much deserved, we got Bryce Young. I think most of y'all know how I feel about this. I think Bryce Young, Caleb Williams, they're QB1, QB2, whatever order you want to put them in, I'm cool with. Me personally, I prefer Bryce Young, but if you rather have CJ Stroud at number 1 and Bryce Young at 2, I can rock with that. I'm cool with it. Where my problem starts to arise is when you put Will Levis and Anthony Richardson above CJ Stroud. I just don't understand what you're basing that opinion off of. Is it potential? Because it can't be gameplay. And I've told you guys, I'm high on Anthony Richardson. I'm not too high on Will Levis. I'm high on Anthony Richardson, but I still want to put him above Stroud. If I need a quarterback to win me a game tomorrow, I'm talking about tomorrow, I'm taking CJ Stroud, and I hope you guys are as well. Maybe in 5 or 10 years I would take Anthony Richardson, but we're not talking about 5 to 10 years. We're talking about right now. I want y'all to understand that. This list is based off of right now. So Will Levis and Anthony Richardson being ahead of CJ Stroud makes no sense to me. I don't like it. I also don't like the disrespect to Hendon Hooker. You got to give this guy some praise because if he doesn't get hurt, he's got a good shot to win that Heisman Trophy. This has nothing to do with Stetson Bennett, but I am beyond sick and tired of the disrespect towards Hendon Hooker. The dude can play. Seriously, who got disrespected more here? Hendon Hooker being behind Stetson Bennett or CJ Stroud being at number 4? I'm done with this list. We got to get a move on before I get too amped up and go on a rampage and tangent. I'm starting to think people make lists like these just so we overreact and talk about them. I don't know. That's the only legitimate reason I can come up with. But now finally, moving on to the main topic of the main encore, the main reason you clicked onto this video, we got to talk about the quarterback situation in Athens, Georgia. Was it yesterday? Yeah. It was yesterday. I talked about how Georgia, they found their new starting quarterback, Carson Beck, and he was phenomenal. And when I say phenomenal, I'm referring to the spring game. You couldn't have played a better spring game. And I hate to harp on him and continue to praise him because I literally did that for a 10-minute video yesterday, but the dude, it was just amazing. You couldn't do too much better. I'll show you his numbers once again. 18 for 22, 231 through the air, and a touchdown. Actually, hold on. I'm taking a look at this article right here, and they have Carson Beck finishing 15 for 22. That's interesting. I've seen one source say he was 18 for 22 and another say 15 for 22. It's not really a big deal whatsoever. You get the point. But Brock Vandergriff, the other quarterback in the game, who was really competing for that starting spot, a lot of people thought he could potentially win it. He was 13 for 25 with a $175 and 2 touchdowns, but also an interception. And like I said in yesterday's video, it wasn't so much that Vandergriff played bad. He didn't play bad at all. It was more so if Carson Beck was just that good. He was calm, cool, and collected, and very smooth. That's what I always look for in a great quarterback. I saw it with Hendon Hooker last year. I saw it with Bryce Young. I saw it with CJ Stroud and Caleb Williams. Carson Beck was the first quarterback I've seen with a Georgia uniform on that looked like he was in total control of the offense. Even with Bennett last year, he was awesome, phenomenal. I've given him his kudos and respect. You didn't get to feel like he was in total control. It more so have seemed like Kirby Smart was telling him, hey, you're going to get about 15 passes a game. You better capitalize. Outside of that, we're running. Whereas with Carson Beck in the spring game, I didn't feel that same way. And maybe I'm crazy. If you watch the game, maybe you know what I'm talking about. I also told you guys this yesterday, and most people that keep up with college football and watch the spring game, they feel the same way. This quarterback battle at Georgia is essentially a done deal. It seems like it's over. Unless something crazy happens, Carson Beck will be the starter on day 1. And yet again, I want to go back to this. It's not that Brock Vandergriff did something wrong. It's more so of Carson Beck did something really well. Sometimes in life, when you get beat out for that new job or somebody beats you in a basketball game or football game, it's not that you played terrible or you weren't qualified enough for that new job. The other person and the other team, they were just simply better. Tip your cap. And as a Bama fan last year, y'all saw my live reactions. I always tip my cap to the other team. I didn't feel like we played bad against LSU or Tennessee when we lost. I tipped my cap to Tennessee and LSU because they outplayed us. They was better. That's where we're currently at with this quarterback battle between Carson Beck and Brock Vandergriff. So with all that being said, yesterday in an interview, Brock Vandergriff, he spoke about his future at Georgia, and here's what he had to say, quote unquote. I'm not sure. I guess there's some praying to do, but my plans for now are just to take it day by day. I'll also show you the video clip. Matt, roll a clip.
I'm not sure. I guess there's some praying to do, but my plans for now are just to take it day by day.
This is where things start to really, and I mean really, get interesting. Yet again, I want to make this clear. That answer that he said is him referring to if he's going to stay at Georgia or not. Because it's very clear and evident around this program that Carson Beck has a lead for QB1. And obviously with Brock Vandergriff being at Georgia for, I think he's been there a year now, he doesn't want to sit out another season. He's a 5-star recruit. He wants to play. Heck, it doesn't even matter if you're a 5-star recruit. Any football player wants to play. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's been there for 2 years. This is now his 3rd year. I could be wrong on that. Regardless of that, I know he's been there for at least 1 year, and if he's not going to be the starter next season, with the transfer portal window, by the way, I need to throw this in there, you can now transfer. There's this new window. It's open up during spring. It's like 15 days long. And currently, we are in that 15-day window. I can't speak for him, but I can speak for myself. If I'm in his shoes and I feel like I'm behind in the race and the coaching staff tells me, yeah, more than likely you're not going to win the starting job, I'd consider my options at least. I'd weigh them on the table. And anybody that tells you otherwise, they're just straight up lying and they've never played a sport in their life. Because no competitor, no athlete wants to watch another man take his spot and do really well. You may be happy for them, but at the end of the day, you wish that were you. But, and I have a really big but, and this is the biggest but out of them all, what if Brock Vandergriff goes off in the rest of these scrimmages and practices and he wins that starting spot? Or, this is a possibility, guys, we're talking about football, right? What if Carson Beck gets hurt in week 1 or week 2? I mean, we saw it happen not too long ago with JT Daniels. He gets hurt, Stetson Bennett goes in there, and the rest is history. Injuries happen. If you're the backup quarterback, you're only one play away from getting in there. Or, and this is option 3, haven't even brought this up, what if Carson Beck in week 1 and week 2 and week 3 is just flat out terrible? He could get benched and Brock Vandergriff could go in there and throw 4 touchdowns and be the new starter. There's so many endless possibilities and great scenarios if you do stick it out. And when I say stick it out, I mean remain at Georgia. But unfortunately, you're not in control. Some things have to happen. Some things have to go your way if you don't win the starting job outright. Which, yet again, I'm going to remind you, he's not winning the starting job at this current moment. And as humans, I'm the same way. We want to control what we can control. As to where it stands right now, Brock Vandergriff can't control if he's going to be a starting quarterback. But if he transfers and goes to a lesser school, he can control that. You see what I'm saying? There's a lot of positives, but there's also a lot of negatives to this transfer portal. And I'm still split down the middle because as a former athlete myself, I want these athletes to be in control. I want them to be able to transfer things ain't going their way, and I want them to go to a new school and play right away just like Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow. We've seen the great sides of the transfer portal, but it's few and far between. In reality, 99% of these players that enter the portal, they don't really have a lustful career after. And also, I know a lot of my old school people are going to bring this up. I think it's a great point. We are no longer teaching these kids to overcome adversity. The old school argument people are going to bring up, and I think it's a valid argument, is, okay, well, what if things get tough in your marriage or your relationship? Are you just going to leave your wife? And I agree, that's a great point. To be a high-value man, to reach your full potential in this life, you've got to overcome adversity and obstacles. I've never met a man, and I mean a good man at that hasn't went through a lot of trials and tribulations. So one part of me is like, hey, stick it out, kid, overcome some adversity. But another side of me is going, well, dang, if you're not going to be the starter and you've already been there a couple of years, you might want to weigh your options. It's definitely an interesting situation. And oh yeah, guess what? What do you know? You know who needs a quarterback in the SEC? Auburn and Florida. And well, why don't you take a look at this? Detective Matt in the building. Brock Vandergriff? This is him, but he's in an Auburn jersey. And another fun fact for you is Brock Vandergriff grew up an Auburn fan. I told you things were going to get interesting. Oh, man, you can't make this up. The SEC is the most entertaining conference. Hugh Freeze came out 2 weeks ago and stated they're going to be looking for quarterbacks in the portal. Could this be a match made in heaven? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Keep your eyes on that. And it goes back to this. If Brock Vandergriff enters the transfer portal and goes to Auburn, he will be the starting quarterback. Or at least, in my humble opinion, he should be. And you know another school in the SEC that could be good if they got a good or great quarterback? Florida. Right now, Florida is a crap show, but one big key piece they are missing is a quarterback. Because the quarterback room they have, it is terrible. That'd be the easiest job to win right now. I'll tell you this much for old Brock Vandergriff. Would it be easier to win the Auburn job, the Florida job, or the Georgia job? Well, on the bottom of the list, I know who it is, and that's Georgia. That's the hardest job to win. This is fascinating. I am extremely curious. Let me know your thoughts down below. We may talk about this again tomorrow. Do you think he should gut it out, wait it down to Georgia, or go to Florida, Auburn, or somewhere else? Oh man, this is a tough position to be in. I'm wishing him the best of luck. Let me know your thoughts down below. But roll with me.